Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our part 2 of our ham sandwich series on the SHX system. So today's webinar is going to be on the activities to do with the SHX room. So yesterday we covered the overall the SHX room itself and the Luminea. So the recording of that will be available on YouTube in the next week or so. These other ones, today's and tomorrow's, will also be available in the coming weeks as well. We'll get all the series up so you can watch back if you want to. But today we'll start, we'll make a headway on today's one. So as I said, we're talking about the activities to do in this SHX sensory room. So we will show you where our website is on the website to locate our activities in the SHX. We'll show you the examples of some activities on the SHX room itself, and we will show you demonstrations of activities with the bubble tube as well. So just before we do kind of get started, just to make sure everyone can hear me, if you can just see me and my mouth is waffling on. There is just a Q&A section, so we do have Connor and Ishita here, so they can answer any questions, or if there is any technical difficulties or anything, just pop a message into the Q&A on the left-hand side, as you can see, and they'll be able to answer questions. And any questions you have about the SHX system and the activities throughout the webinar, just pop them in there and they can answer, and obviously I can come back to them at the end as well if you do have any questions. So just a little bit about myself. So my name is Michael Brazel, if anyone doesn't know me, and I've been with SafeCare over 2 years now, and I specialize in the areas of cognition, SHX systems, the Luminea Corners, and the environmental control side of things as well. So we'll get started here now for today. So as I mentioned, we will be going through the different activities that you can do within the SHX room or using the Luminea Corner as well. So basically, I'll go through what the Luminea Corner is in a while, but it's basically the bubble tube, the fiber optic on the corner piece, and the SHX room as a whole. So there's lots of different activities you can do within, obviously using the software, but we will just focus on 2 aspects of that today, and that will be the proximity and also the bubble tube. So we'll start off with the bubble tube for the SHX system. So there is a document that you can find, and I'll show you where to locate that in a while as well. It would be on our website in the support section. I'll direct you to that in a while. So there's 51 activities that you can do with the bubble tube. So this is the documentation that was created for you to be able to use. So within the documentation, the first section itself will have the contents. So you'll see there's the 51 different types, and it'll tell you which activities there are. For example, you've got discovering environmental control, my favorite color, 2 colors, what comes next, where is the ball, and so on and so forth. So you do have lots of different activities that you can do. So when you move on to the next page in that document, you will see that each activity has an objective to it. So you will see then it actually breaks it down. So is it a group activity that we're working on? So you'll see that activity 1, 19, 32, 40, and 45 will have that group activity. If it's, for example, maybe self-concept, then you'll see activity 2 and 19. And you'll see that self-concept 19 is there, and it's also in group activity as well. So you see there's a crossover as well, that the objectives for specific activities might be similar as well. So moving on to some of the activities, this is one of the examples that you will find in the actual bubble tube as well. So this is in the document. So this is number 7, and you'll see that it's broken up into objectives, materials, interesting for how the activity works, and some more ideas as well if you want to use them. So the first is the objectives. So again, we're going back to see, okay, it's working memory, it's turn taking, executive skills, communication and social skills, and visual motor skills as well. So you'll see there's a lot of different objectives you can get out of some activities as well as others. So then the materials that you use, for example, you can use the scene 6 on the SHX system. That's the colors with sound. Then you can use the SHX tablet, and you can use the SHX controller. So that's your 6 buttons and your tablet basically. And then you can see it's interesting for people with multiple disabilities, dementia, cerebral palsy, brain injuries, and so on. So basically with this particular activity and how the activity works is that the game follows the same pattern as a classic Simon Says. So say, for example, on the tablet, I can create a sequence. So I can say, okay, we're going red, blue, and yellow. And then what we want is, like Simon Says, we want the user to copy that sequence. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the next slide just to show you an example of that there now. So we'll just play this video and hopefully everyone can hear it there now. So I'm just going to press play.
Okay, we're going to play again as Simon Says. Follow my sequence. Red, green, yellow.
Okay, so you can see there now from the button 6. So Connor on the right hand side was demonstrating, okay, this is the sequence I want you to follow. So Simon says, press red, press green, press yellow. And then Marie on the left hand side then automatically presses those 3 in the sequence. And then you can advise if they're correct or they're incorrect then. Okay, so that is Simon Says. The next activity then, for example, is That's Right. So that's a game of That's Right. So this particular one, again, the objectives are learning specific content, area colors, self-awareness, spatial awareness, attention and focus, language, speech, or communication through AAC. So in this particular area, we're going to use the bubble tube again, and we're going to use the flop sequence. Okay, so you can use a switch, but in this case, what we did was we used the tablet. Okay. Interesting for multiple disabilities, cerebral palsy, brain injuries, young children, and so on. Again, how this activity works. So in a nutshell, basically, you just ask some questions. If the user gets them right, then we just do the flop on the bubble tube. So again, I'm just going to go to the next slide just to show you this particular video. So again, we have Connor and Marie. So Connor's going to ask the questions.
Okay, so for this game, I'm going to ask you some questions, and if you get them right, we'll see some photos. So, easy one to start. Where do you live?
In Cork.
Where do you work?
In Fair Technology.
What is your name?
Marie.
Great.
So you can see it's a very easy, straightforward game to play. Just That's Right. So if the person gets it right, we'll just give a quick flop on the bubble tube then. Okay, so that is the bubble tube. So what I will do now is I will move on to the proximity sensor. So the proximity sensor is a relatively new product that has been introduced to the SHX system. And basically this works by applying a real object onto a little box. As you can see here now on the right hand side on the image, we've got the proximity box. And say, for example, you've got that picture, or sorry, that elephant in the background. We just need to put a code on that or a card. And when we place that onto the little box, it'll automatically then display on the projector. So I'll go to the next slide. So basically, just to, I suppose, explain to you what proximity is, it's the new way of interaction in a sensory room, and it opens up a whole new world of possibilities in the SHX room itself. So with this, you can interact with the room by using the real objects, as I mentioned, the elephant in the picture here, and this will transform the room into a thematic environment related to that specific object. Okay. It is as simple as bringing close an object to the SHX platform, and the whole room will come alive with the corresponding effects. You can also as well, so you can use specific scenes that are already there, or you can create your own combination of lighting, images, sound, and vibration, and so on. So if we want to, and kind of what I mentioned yesterday, we can customize our own scenes as well. So say, for example, we're working with an older person who might have dementia. What we can do in this case is we can use maybe pictures of particular individuals. And if we just program those pictures into the software and we can have them uploaded onto the software, when we place the picture onto that box, that will automatically bring that person's details up on the screen. So it might have a profile of the person, their name, their age, where they live, and the actual picture of them as well. So we can use then for memory, we can see, okay, this is my sister, this is my brother, this is my mom, this is my dad, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I'm just going to show you a quick video as well now of the proximity itself. So again, you can see from that video, it's fully immersive again. So say, for example, in the sense that if we are using the proximity, just go on to the next slide, sorry. If we are using the proximity, you'll see that you can use that particular object, and it's endless the amount of possibilities you can add into the actual software itself. So when you're programming in the software, for example, maybe it's like something to do with space. So we could have maybe a little globe, and when we put the globe onto the actual, onto the proximity sensor itself, using that little credit card sized card, what we can do then is we could have maybe a video of, space that can, come up onto the projector. We can have the stars light up in the room, for example. We might have maybe just the wind feeling as well in the background as well. And you could have the sounds maybe as well of maybe, shuttles taking off into space, or even, just the sound as well, or maybe just a kind of quietness sound because of you're up in space and things like that as well. So that is the proximity sensor, and these are the activities. So when you open up again these activities for the proximity, you'll see again there is the list of contents. So you'll see that you've got make up a story, guessing games, experiences, live music, and so on and so forth. And again, from the contents, we have a look at and we see the index by objective. So we can see then, okay, what objectives again are we working on? Is it a group activity? Is it attention and focus? Is it self-concept? Is it postural control? So again, we choose our objectives that we might want to work on, and then we can focus in, okay, these are the specific activities. So some of these documents might have a lot of pages, so you might only need 1 or 2 pages as well, depending as well. So you can even just print off those specific pages as well. So you can have just, okay, I have activity 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 10, for example. So you'll see again that they do correspond again. So some might overlap again. So the first 3, the activities number 1 for group activities, specific content areas, and attention and focus as well. So again, moving on. So this is one of the, I suppose, the activities that you'll see in the proximity. So again, this is number 3, and we've got experiences. Again, you will see it is broken up into the different sections. We've got the objectives. We've got the materials again that we need to use, interesting for, and how the activity works. So again, the objectives being group activity, for example, or understanding cause and effect. The materials, in this case, we would recommend the seasons, weather, or landscape scenes. So opening up the software and selecting one of the specific tabs. Each tab represents then, one of those scenes. So you might have, the scenes tab where you have the weather and the landscape and the seasons all in one. We can select that, and then we can use that for our activity. So you'll see it's interesting for people with multiple disabilities, dementia, cerebral palsy, brain injuries, and so on and so forth. On this particular one, again, you'll see that we experience a space, landscape, or moment by being fully immersed in it. So you'll see again that you're fully immersed in this particular scene. You will have, as I mentioned, like if you customize it, you might have the wind, you might have the stars, you might even have the vibration aspect as well built into it. Okay. The next part then is the Luminea Corner. So just in relation to the Luminea Corner, I'll just talk about that first of all. But again, there is another document, 31 activities to do with the Luminea Corner. So the Luminea Corner, for anyone who missed yesterday, it's basically a corner piece which is made up of a bubble tube fiber optic. You have the corner part that slots into the corner of your room. You also get the tablet along with the app as well. And it's basically your Luminea Corner. So Luminea is basically all around lighting. So it's working with lighting, and you can also introduce the sound aspect as well if you wanted to. So if we're working on different colors, for example, we could use that Luminea Corner. So if I go to the next slide, this is the app that you get with the Luminea. So the app itself, it's a separate app to the SHX system, but you can use that as well if you wanted to, or you could just focus on the SHX if you wanted to do that as well. Within the Luminea app, you've broken it up then into 2 areas, which are pixel and sequences. So pixel, you will see, are the basic kind of colors or fruits or targets or things like that, as you can see. So in the case of the 3rd image down, where you have the white line with the black surrounding, in that particular one, we go work on an activity. Okay, we need to go around the sequence. If we go outside the sequence with our finger, what will happen is the bubble tube will turn off. So the fiber optic will turn off, the lights will go off basically. So what we need to do is we need to get back on track, and we need to find. So using motor skills, we need to find and follow our finger through that sequence until we get to the end. And anytime we go off track, the light will go off, indicating that we need to go back on track again. We also have the sequences, and again, the sequences are much like scenes. So again, if you have maybe a forest scene, for example, you might have the color green coming on the bubble tube and things like that. So again, with the Luminea Corner, we have those 31 activities to do with the Luminea Corner. So you will find again that you have the document with the contents. So the contents again are built up of, say, for example, look and feel, what just happened, oh my body, eyes wide open, I caught you, and much more, again, the 31 in total. And again, we have got the index by objective again in this particular document. So you will find that each activity again also is corresponding to an objective. Okay, so this is one particular activity that we could look at, and this is look and feel. Again, this document broken up into objectives, materials, how the activity works, and more ideas. So in this case, for look and feel, we've got the objective of detection and reaction and postural control, for example. So in this case, we're looking at the Luminea Bubble Tube and just at the on-off switch. So we could have an on-off switch that's connected. So the Luminea tube as well has those switch inputs where, for example, if you wanted to do on-off, you could have one switch that presses on and off and one switch that can go through the sequence of the different colors, for example. So in this case, what we want is the user to lay down face down in front of the bubble tube and activate it to encourage them to lift their head. So what we're doing is we're having it off and then we turn it back on to encourage them to lift their head. So once we've caught their attention, switch the bubble tube off, wait for a few seconds before turning it on again, and praise them every time they raise their head. Okay, so that is look and feel. We have other activities then, like oh my body. So objectives, detection and reaction. The materials in this case, the Luminea app, so we're using the app this time, the Luminea fiber optic, and again the switch to turn it on and off. So in this case, we glide the fiber optic spray over the user's arm, for example, allowing them to feel the weight of the strands as they move and bring their awareness to the area. So name the part of the body, then glide the tips of the strands over the area for more superficial stimulation. And you do have those ideas as well of more ideas within each activities. So reinforce the awareness of presence absence by turning off the fiber optic strands, and then they are not touching the user's body. Okay. You also have, say, for example, this one, stretch and draw in. And again, this is using your Luminea app. So you'll see the left bottom image of the different colors. We're using this particular pixel within the app. So the objectives in this case, gross motor skills, group activity, and specific content areas. We're using the app, the bubble tube, and the fiber optic, so all three parts here. And with the pixel colored bands or activity, we can practice stretching and jumping. When we choose red or curling up into a ball with cooler colors, with the colors in between these extremes, we can choose intermediate postures. Okay. So these activities as well, they are available on our website. So I just want to draw your attention to where you can find them. So if you go on to our website, which is the www.safecaretechnologies.com area, and if you select up the top right hand corner, you're selecting the support section, that will bring you to the support section on our website. It does contain a lot more than just the multisensory room, but what you're looking for is the multisensory tab that you'll see down the bottom in the center, bottom right hand side of the screen. When you select that one, then you've got the different activities. So you'll see there's 31 different activities to do with the Luminea Corner, 21 activities getting the most out of your SHX proximity as we went through, and of course the 51 activities to do when using the bubble tube itself.